solar power, nuclear power. Now this is just a typical hydro where we get the water flow with a certain height, and then we turn a turbine. And that turbine obviously generates electricity, it generates magnetic flux that basically, or magnetic fields, which basically goes to a generator, and then the generator to a transformer to transmission. Then we also have the solar power, which basically we look at harvesting the sun radiation into your PV modules. You call it PV panels, but it's modules. Panel is just a slang, but it's actually a module. And in that module, of course, it's divided into cells, and those cells together they form a module. And once they are together, those modules, they are called array. And then once they are together, those arrays, they are called a plant. Once they are together as a plant, then they are called a generation of electricity. Then this is a typical one that you can utilize for your rooftop in your normal house, for lighting, if you have a battery storage. If you don't have a battery storage, you can use it for any other consumption during the day. And then we have the wind turbines, where you can actually generate electricity using the wind. And you need about at least 3 to 6 millimeters per second to basically run a wind turbine. That's why in GAUTENG we cannot do this type of things, because we don't have enough wind. But in the coastal areas, you can actually run the wind. Then we have the tidal power, which basically the movement of the tide, it actually turns the turbine inside the sea, which some countries are actually doing it. Then we have also a wave power, which basically, as the waves flow, you know, it then actually turns the turbine and generates electricity. And then we also have a biomass, where we take your normal waste, whether plant or whatever case might be, and then you can use that to generate electricity. Then we have a radiant energy, which is the energy that gets generated between the sources of energy. For argument's sake, between the two pylons, or rather between the two let me say two transformers. If you pass a transformer here going, there is a certain energy in there which you can actually harvest, but it's because we don't have a lot of R&D, research and development. We are not actually able to take advantage of these things. Then we also have the nuclear power, which basically the country, they've adopted, they've made a decision that we're going to go for more nuclear power stations. They are good and bad, but I'm not going to share with you the bad side of it. They're good that they'll generate electricity. The bad side of it is the bad side of it is that how do you deal with the waste material? All right, but I'm not here to advocate it. Then we have a concentrated solar power, which is CSP, which most of you've heard about it. How the technology operates is that it uses your parabolic mirrors, these the modules, which basically reflect the sun onto the one big sort of for lack of a better word, you'd have like a rod, or you'd have like a beam, or let me just say a beam, which basically reflect on that beam, and then the heat on that beam, it actually gets absorbed, and then it hits the water. And then as it hits the water, then it basically causes what we call steam. And then that steam turns the steam engine, which is a steam turbine. Like the normal way that you'd have a coal-fired engine, where you actually torque the fire, the engine, I mean rather the engine with the coal produces the heat, and the heat heats the water, and the water basically boils, and as the water boils, then it turns the turbine. That's basically turning your latent heat into your sensible heat. Are you with me? Yes. All right. Then we have the geothermal energy. The geothermal energy, how it works is that you know that the value of the sun, which is closer, I mean the value of the earth, which is closer to hell, it's got what we call the it's hot, it's over thousands or 2,000 whatever degrees Celsius, which when you put the skin of a person or bone, they melt. When you put the steel, it melts. Whatever that you put there, it melts. Now, just above that there are layers, and then above those layers you also have water, and that water, because of the layers are hot, the water becomes so hot that you can even get it 150 to 200 degrees Celsius. Now what they do, they drill 3 to 4 kilometers to the ground, and they use that power, that hot water, to basically supply the whole network in the area where they don't have to use heaters and they don't have to use solar water heaters. You go to a place like Germany, you go to Italy, there's no solar water heaters because they use this geothermal system. And it's owned by the municipalities, and the municipalities can then generate income on the sales of that hot water. But because it's too expensive to do this in Mzansi, we are not actually looking into that because we don't need much of heating in Mzansi. We have more heat than we need in winter. Well, in winter it's just 3 months, and therefore it will be a waste of time to basically have this technology. Now, the possible technologies that can be implemented within municipalities, your solar water heating, I've spoken about that, the PV solar lighting, your energy efficiency, your PV solar rooftops, where you actually use your rooftop to basically harvest the sun using the PV supplying your houses, and then the heat pumps. Then and you're running a co-op. And now there's something wrong with the weather. And let's say the 3,000 tubes they break, and you are cheaper than any other person. Take 20 Rand, multiply by 3,000. You actually have a lot of money. It's actually 60,000, just replacing that. I'm just making an example. Not only that, there are times where there's leaks, and these people are lazy to actually come and fix what they've installed. So you come in and say, listen, I'll fix this for you, because if it keeps on leaking, the problem that you're going to have is that your bill is going to be so high. Then the household says, no, I'd rather pay 50 Rand than having a leaking tap or a leaking geyser. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, it becomes more easier. Now, the retrofit, there's an announcement that is made by the MEC, GAUTENG, that they've announced 19 billion that they've set aside for the reducing the energy consumption for the government-owned buildings within Gauteng. And they indicated that there is technology, which is the rooftop that I spoke about, where they would want to install the rooftops on top of those government-owned buildings. Now, I'm saying if they're going to allocate 19 billion, therefore you, as young people, you can actually approach that type of office and say, listen, we are youth and we are willing to do the actual installation, even though we might not get the tender or we might not get the bid or whatever case might be, but we want to sub under those who got the bid. And then you get actually facilitated by the leadership, because our leadership, they probe and they support the development of our people. I've never seen a government as supportive as this government. I want to just be honest with you. I have been in all countries. I've never seen a supportive government like this government that we have. I know that you hate to hear that statement, but I'm going to tell you the truth. We have trained 266 students. That's in high pressure. And then we also have a split pressure solar water heater system, which we have time when we can share about that. We have installed quite a lot of this, as I've mentioned. And then with the informal segment, this is basically the bedroom and 4 lights. One is for the bedroom, the other one is for the this is the little kitchen, a toilet, and the outside light. And then this battery basically it stores the energy during the day, and at night it releases the energy. And this is the solar lighting which we are planning to actually have the cooperatives to actually facilitate that. And then each cooperative will be responsible for 1,000 households, and that's how they will actually generate money. I'm not going to dwell much on these 266 students that we have trained, because we want you also to be part of that going forward. The energy efficiency, we have retrofitted most of our lightings in Ekurhuleni, street lights, and then even every Ekurhuleni owned facility, we have put energy efficiency. These are energy efficient globes. Tubes are called T5, not the T12, which and the 2.8, T12 and T8, we have replaced them with the T5. As you can see on my presentation, the T12 and T8 were replaced by TO sensors, and that's basically saving a lot of energy for the municipality. And this, if you study it, you can actually use it for your own energy saving in your community. And then they know that even if somebody leaves some apparatus operating without anybody present, they will actually save energy. So this is just a landfill gas to energy. And then we will be putting the Yamaha engines, and this is how it's going to be happening. Currently, we are flaring our gas to try to reduce the carbon emissions, but we are still emitting carbon because if you burn, there is also excess of carbon. But now we want to convert that flaring into this engine so that we can generate 1,000 kilowatts of energy. This is just what's going to happen at cement jet landfill gas. And in a nutshell, I want to say thank you very much for listening to me. But before I finish, I just want to also tell you that there are benefits that you can look at. I am not going to go into details because of my time, and therefore I want to be invited again. That's why I said the way forward is that let's be innovative and creative and jump anywhere that we can. So let's do the jump.